Great. Welcome. As I mentioned, it's an interactive training hosted by DBHR through the Washington State Healthcare Authority. And I really encourage you to ask questions, participate, use the chat, unmute your mic, whatever is most convenient for you. Just a little note about artificial intelligence. I think we mentioned this throughout our webinar series, but we do want to make the note that the use of automated note-taking bots or similar tools during the Washington FCS events or meetings does require prior approval. Any unauthorized use of such tools is prohibited to ensure the privacy and confidentiality of all attendees. Also, any recording that is created through AI is not recognized as an official recording of this session, and we do reserve the right to exit trainees from the training if they are using AI to take notes without prior approval or using AI to record the session. We also want to make note that materials and recordings, such as the PowerPoint, are no longer emailed to participants, and I will upload the materials, the PowerPoint, in a PDF format today in the chat, and you will be able to access a recording of this session on the FCS channel, Foundational Community Supports, about 2 weeks into the session. I'm going to put those in the chat now. So you'll have a copy of those materials that we're referencing today, and I'll probably add those to the chat maybe midway through, just so everyone has a chance to access those materials. So today we are going to review using web-based tools to help job seekers identify career interests and values. There are a variety of different web-based tools to help job seekers identify work values, identify interest, preferences, and we'll review a couple of different web-based tools today to help support career development. We're going to specifically describe a variety of web-based methods to help someone identify what their work values are, what are their interests. We'll go through some of those web-based tools here today, and you can begin choosing career assessment tools or strategies based on job seekers' needs. We'll also talk a little bit about non-web-based tools because they're certainly as impactful, if not more impactful. But we're really trying to just look at a slice of career development today and really looking at those career assessments that can be done virtually with someone or online or something that you can maybe encourage the job seeker to do before they meet with you. They're very self-guided tools, so we are going to get into them right now. And really, we're talking about selecting a career direction. We're specifically today looking at values and interest and attempting to answer some of these questions. Who am I? What do I like? What am I good at? What's important to me? And we'll reflect on our own values and interest as we go through the material today. So there'll be opportunities for you to reflect on what your own career values are, what your own interests are, and how they relate to your current career or a career that you may be interested in. So identifying values, let's talk a little bit about what values are. Um, Work values are those ingredients of a job that really help us to feel satisfied and can contribute to our success on the job. Similar to our overall values, our career values or work values really do exemplify what's important to us in a job, what's important to us in a career. For example, for me, having a job where I am responsible for a variety of different tasks, or I'm working in a team environment. Those are important values to me. And if I was in a job that I didn't have those opportunities, I wouldn't feel as satisfied in that position. So we're going to talk a little bit about what are the benefits of identifying and clarifying. So it's not just identifying a work value or career value, but clarifying what does that mean, defining what that work value means. So I'm going to open it up to for you to use the chat or unmute your mics to really talk about what are the benefits of identifying career values or helping job seekers that you're working with really clarify and define what's important to them in a job. What value do they want to see in positions that they are applying for? So what are the benefits of identifying career values? You can use your chat or unmute your mics, raise your hand. We have something here in the chat. So Emily mentions finding a position that leads to long-term satisfaction. Yes. Mindy mentions job satisfaction, an increase in self-worth, longevity in a role. Absolutely. So that tenure. Shannon mentions increases motivation. Yes. So all of those are really good benefits of why we want to clarify and identify our own work values when we're thinking about our own career development, but certainly when we're working with someone who may have not worked for a number of years or may not be certain what their values are. Maybe they don't have the experience or the vocational maturity to really identify what jobs match up to their values. So really helping someone identify those values is a really good starting point. Finding environments that are supportive, yes. Ensuring you're with a company that shares your personal values so you avoid having to compromise your own. Absolutely. So it's also a way for us to test whether or not that organization that we want to apply to or that company shares the same values that we do. We want to make sure that the work culture mirrors ours and on the mission and the values of an organization are comparable to ours. Empowers us to make confident decisions, yes. And I don't know about you, but I don't know if I was ever really asked about what my work values are, if I even really thought about my work values in such an intensive way. And I feel like I would have maybe made different career choices early on or different job choices early on. So it really does help you to feel that satisfaction. Some of my earlier jobs, I mean, way earlier, were more in retail setting, and they really didn't match that kind of value I have of helping others and teaching others. So I had to do some self-reflection as you may have done as well. Let's see, one more here in the chat. A lot of other millennials feel really lost about what they want to do with their lives, and it looks painful and confused. So grateful to be at least not dealing with that kind of existential stress. Yes, I think that you are mentioning something that many people may not have had that opportunity to really think about what's important to them or what their work values are. And when we're working with job seekers in services that you're providing, it's really helpful to do that. Melinda, you're unmuted. Do you want to say something, or is it just an accidental unmute? Oh, thank you. So I think we touched on many of these. It results in a better job match, builds relationships and social capital. Finding jobs that match our career values helps us build those important relationships that can lead to other positions or other networking opportunities, that social capital that we build when we are around people who are similar to us. Um, Provides a better understanding of what's important in a career. So it helps you assist the job seeker in clarifying what is it that I want to do? What's important to me? And it kind of goes along with what someone mentioned in the chat, finding that company or organization that's aligned with your values. And like people mentioned, it does improve job retention. So lots of good reasons why we want to spend some time identifying and clarifying work values. So let's talk a little bit about what are some of your work values. Sometimes it's nice when we're kind of doing some of these activities that will be working with individuals and job seekers that are participating in services to really reflect on our own careers. So what are some of your values? Work values, just to clarify, are what we refer to how people feel about the work itself and the contribution it makes to society, global aspects of work that are important to a person's satisfaction. Um, so what are some of your work values? Use the chat, unmute. Autonomy, yes. So having positions where there's some level of autonomy, absolutely. I had mentioned that my work values include working on a team. That's very important. Also, that autonomy, making decisions independent of, very like overbearing supervision, if you will. Okay, a lot of this comes in. I'm seeing so many now contributing towards beloved community. Yes, so having something that's contributing to the community, empowering, uplifting the community, promoting personal autonomy and pursuing justice. Yes, so these are our career values, and finding jobs that align with those are important to us. Inclusivity, sustainability, and effective communication. Everyone needs to work. I do this because at least in nonprofit capitalism, when poor people get screwed over, it's usually an accident as opposed to being literally by design. Yes, so thinking about those values and how they align with your organizations that you're working with. I enjoy working with underserved communities, respect among colleagues, efficiency, work that makes the world a better place. So many important values. And obviously, in this role as job coaches, career counselors, employment specialists, case managers, peer support workers, these are all aligned with much of the work that you do. So, where do our values come from? We can, use the chat and kind of talk a little bit about where do those values come from? Who influences our values? Those are all important conversations to consider. Um, Maybe our values come from our families. Maybe they come from others in the workplace that we admire. Maybe they come from mentors that we have. Family of origin, childhood experiences. Yes, Maria. So you want to be thinking about that as well. Um, when I was completing my degree, I worked in a social psychology lab studying implicit bias for 2 years, and that changed a lot of how I view the world. Yes, so our education, our what we're learning in school, who we're connecting with in our um, educational programs, having the opportunity to study areas of interest can influence our values and where they come from. Your character, your upbringing can affect them. Your experiences and your interests, your life experiences. Yes. So we want to be thinking about work values and really having these intentional discussions with job seekers. So here are some common career values that you might think of. Maybe someone likes to work with their hands. I've worked with job seekers in the past who wanted to have something that, that they were working with their hands, mechanical type work, working as a mechanic, maybe working with numbers. Having a supportive supervisor could be an important value that people have. Having friendly coworkers. Maybe the job tasks aren't necessarily as important as the environment and the coworkers that someone's working with. Having that chance to be creative, right? I think people mention that, having those opportunities to create and not be so confined to maybe having some looseness or autonomy to have that creativity, having an opportunity to advance in that career, maybe A value is working close to home or having a flexible work schedule, good wage. And this is where really helping someone define and clarify what the value means to them is important. What does a good wage mean to someone? That might look very different among different people. So we want to be on the same page when we're working with someone. Helping people is another example of helping to clarify that. Ask someone if, you're working on identifying values, particularly career values, what does helping people mean? Does it mean a lot of what was mentioned here in the chat, more of that social justice, or is it more, different ways of helping people, working independently, working as a team member? So these are all types of career values. What might be some others that may not be reflected here? Certainly many of what you were mentioning earlier, having that respect among colleagues, work that makes the world a better place, could all be included here as well. So again, some methods for clarifying values. Yes, Sage mentioned benefits like medical and retirement. Someone else mentioned for me, a consistent schedule is really important because I have a lot of jobs where I worked overnight and holidays. Yeah, so kind of having that consistency or day work or work that maybe, you're not always working kind of random shifts that maybe having something more kind of defined. So, ways that we can clarify work values, a lot of the discussion that we're having now, you can have similar discussions with job seekers, examining personal experiences, having discussions around past jobs, past educational experiences. What was mentioned in the chat, working in an implicit bias lab, helped identify and clarify some values around social justice. So having those discussions, creating new opportunities to discover values. So maybe, helping someone find experiences, maybe internships or job shadowing or maybe positions that they don't necessarily didn't think about, but maybe it's something that they'll consider to kind of identify what values they might have. Informational interviewing is an important key to clarifying values too. Not interviewing for a job, but interviewing to get information about particular jobs. So talking with supervisors or probably more likely coworkers or individuals who are working in positions that maybe the job seeker is interested in, and talking about what about the job that person likes and try to get some information about what more of the nuances about the job, not necessarily just the job tasks, but how are the coworkers? What is it like working in in an office environment compared to remote or whatever it might be, but having those informational interviewing. And also, what we're going to talk about today, using some web-based resources. Many people are still doing some hybrid working with job seekers, potentially kind of still remotely at times, or at least it's been maybe more opened up to do some more remote work potentially. Or you could kind of, when you're out meeting with people, you could pull up your laptops if you have them, or encourage them to, you know, meet with you in a library or other space that's confidential, of course, to use some of these web-based resources. So I'm going to tap into some of these, but again, these are all in the PDF that I had sent through the chat, so you'll have access to all of the resources. But I'm going to look at the first one here is the one that's in like yellow, lime greenish yellow. Not that that matters, but I'm going to click into this, and we're going to go through some of these assessments together, so that when you're working with someone or when you're wanting to do this on your own, you're able to walk through it. Let me just see. I have something here in the chat. Yes, I'm gonna post the I'll put the let me put the link here in the chat one more time. Well, Did it come through? It should. Yep, great, perfect. All right, so you can follow along, or I'm gonna click in now, and we'll yes. So sometimes when people join late, you can't have access to the chat. So yes, hopefully everyone has access now to the PDF. So let me go into here and see, and we'll go through this on an external website. And this is through the Career One Stop. If someone can just give me like a thumbs up or something, just so I know that you can see it, or something in the chat, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so this goes into kind of an overall web page that really allows you to look at different assessments, interest assessments, skills assessments. Today, we're looking at what's highlighted here, work values. But again, you'll have access to this and you can use whatever tools on here might be most relevant or effective or meaningful in your situation. So kind of goes through a little bit of an overview, which is nice. Um, and then it talks about what six core values that work values matcher, which is what we're going to be looking at, really identifies and provides some results around. And the results that the person gets will be prioritized around these six values. And then you can click in and learn more about each of those values. But the six values they talk about are achievement, and it gives a definition, independence, again with a brief definition, recognition, relationships, support, and working conditions. So the responses are all clustered around these six core topics. So I'm going to go into this work values matcher, and as I go in, if someone can just give me again, a heads up that that it advanced, that would be great. Did it go through?
I see work values matcher.
Okay, good. Perfect. Thank you. So again, overview of the tool. It's a quick card sort, and it kind of gives on the left side here a little bit of information about the tool and how your choices relate to the six core topic areas or the values. They identify different careers that match your personal values, and then how to identify a workplace that fits your values. So you can kind of go through with someone. It again, talks about why our values important. Really encourages you to have these discussions with job seekers that you're working with, or people in your organization who are maybe considering going back to school, or any sort of career change that the person is interested in. It's not necessarily just um, workplaces for now, but it could also inform educational environments. So we're going to go into the get started and kind of go through some of these. Maybe someone can act as or maybe several of you, we can kind of go through this as a group to just come up with those six core, or how, the responses. Um, so I'm going to read the statement on the top of the card, and if someone can just tell me, choose an importance level. So so you slide it into it. Goes from most important, more important, somewhat important, less important, or least important. This is, you're meeting with someone, or someone can be doing this independent and come up with results, and you could review the results with the person, however works best in your particular situation. But so someone give me, I use my talents and abilities. Okay, so most, someone said most. I'm treated fairly by my employer. Someone just what raise, just you can just yell it out. Most, more, somewhat. Okay, more. I'm just the ones that I'm seeing just to demonstrate this. I can stay busy all the time, somewhat. Okay. I have opportunities to advance in my job. Most, okay. I can give directions or instructions to others. So this is what I want in my job. I want a job that I can give directions or instructions to others. Let's see. Somewhat or less, okay. Can get a feeling of accomplishment. Let's see. We'll go with the first one more. All right. My pay compares well with other workers' pay. Most, okay. My coworkers are easy to get along with. Let's see. Somewhat, okay. I can try out my own ideas. Let's go with that. Somewhat. I can work alone. Let's see. More. Okay. I'm not pressured to act against my ethics. Most. Yep. Put that there. I can receive recognition for the work I do. Least. Okay. I can make my own decisions. Let's go with least. The job provides steady employment. Less. I can do work that benefits other people. More, I think I saw someone say. Okay, so here's all right. So supervisors back up workers with management. So a job that your supervisors back you up with management. Let's see. Less. Okay. And again, you're with someone, you're going slowly, you're talking about this, you're talking about how they define it. I have supervisors who train their workers well. Okay. Let's say more. Well, we don't have any more left. So let's just for the sake of this exercise do somewhat. But if that is the case and the person really sees something that should go in the most or more or a different category, you can help them kind of jostle it a bit and adjust each of the values. So you can put that in, take it out and put the more important one in. Do something different every day. Let's see. Let's see. So more. So here's where, so let me just illustrate this really quickly. So, okay, we have someone who said least, but Sherry mentioned more for this. So, Sherry, if you were to take something out of the more pile so that you could add this instead, what would that be? And again, for our purposes, we don't have to actually do it, but let's see what Sherry says. Okay, so work alone. So I'm going to put work alone maybe in, maybe I'll take, um, yes, Jennifer mentions it's interesting being forced to scale these, what I'd otherwise throw into most and least I have to process more. Yes. So you're kind of thinking about it a little bit. Maybe we'll put work alone in here and then do something different here, just for again, for illustrative purposes. Um, I can plan my own work with little supervision. Again, maybe that would be a more forced discussion and kind of having to look at the other areas a little bit more closely, but just for our purposes today and the time that we have, we're just going to kind of pop them into. All right, so let's see what the results are. So are you seeing the results,
Got a
the
message her.
table?
She's gonna have that taken care of, but yeah, I got it.
Let's see. Oh,
Thank you, I
sorry.
appreciate it. And here's this, Miss Patty.
Okay, Nikki, can you mute, please?
Oh,
Thank
I
you.
apologize. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's okay. I just popped this out too. Let me see. Okay. Um, all right, are we seeing the work values scale? It looks like achievement is number one, so 27 items under achievement, and relationships came in second, with support third. So again, maybe not necessarily 100% indicative of what your if you were to do this and spend some time with it, we were just doing it for illustration purposes. But you can see it kind of goes into, if someone could just give me in the chat just a heads up that they're seeing this screen with the bar chart. Oh, because I keep, for some reason, getting kicked out. Okay, thank you. Let me just pop. Okay, good. So when you think about your work values, what's achievement is most important to least. So it goes through and it gives a little bit of a definition about what achievement it looks like. So the person can kind of affirm, yes, this is sort of what is important to me, or they can kind of say, well, that's not quite what I was thinking. Relationships, again, goes into what that might look like, and then support. And you could go in and look at a little bit more for each of these. So if you go into the value of achievement, it can give you a list of different types of careers that feature the value of achievement. So you're kind of going through with someone and looking at these different areas that highlight what achievement in a workplace looks like. For example, workers have an opportunity to see the results of their efforts. So you can have a discussion about what that looks like in employment settings. Um, and then again, it goes into how to learn about companies' values. Um, and then for interviews, what types of questions could really help you identify whether or not that employment setting has an opportunity for you to express your value of achievement. So here are some different types of interview questions that could be really helpful. So it also, you can look at the list of careers that highlight achievement as a value, ones that can be attained without a high school or less than a high school diploma, one's high school diploma or equivalent it goes into, and then each of these, again, you can click into and get additional information, some experience or associate's degree, um, bachelor's degree, and graduate degree. So you're kind of going through with someone the different types of careers, and then it's interesting. So we'll click into, let's say, for some experience or associate's degree. Let's look at mechanical engineering technologists. It gives an overview, a good description, what they're also known as. I love the idea that each of these careers has a video that someone can kind of observe through the video what the career is all about, some projections on employment, some hourly wage information, and so on. So, and then the type of education required. So it really provides some really important details about that particular career just by knowing what your work values are. You can, again, click into some of these more advanced areas to get some additional information. So, thoughts about using that tool? Yes, let's see. it's a good tool. I really like it. Yes, it could be really helpful when you're working with someone. How might you work with someone using that tool? I mean, that's also another piece to the trainings that are provided. Kind of how do you envision yourself using that with someone? Let's see. People are commenting it's very visual. Yes, all of that's very helpful and important. Let's see. Okay, let me just head back to the presentation. Hmm. So someone's mentioned clarifying job types people have and an idea of a career they might want, and they have no idea how to, what's actually involved with it. Yes, someone said, I might guide them through all of the cards first so they organize them. Yes, I like that idea. Let's see. Okay. All right. So that's, oh, I'm sorry. I have to go all the way back. All right, so we talked about identifying work values. In the interest of time, I did add kind of just an overview of results when I took it, just so you can see, kind of what we just did. We went through what those results looked like. But again, when you're back at your desks and you have some time, you can look through. But I would encourage you to do it on your own as well. There is a physical card version. So I didn't mention these because we're really focusing on the web-based tools today, but the first list up here are actual PDF cards with different work values, and you sort the cards into different piles. Um, Again, when you're kind of at your desk, you can look at that, and then the values card sort again are another tool that's useful as well, where they are PDF physical, printout of cards where you can print those out, cut them out. And they have a pile, again, most important, somewhat important, least important, and you can help the person kind of physically use some of these kind of more hands-on tools. So these assessments that are listed here, the only one that really is the web-based tool is that one that's in line that we just went over. The other ones are PDF cards that you can actually download and print out. So when we think about interests, again, similar to values, but there are some um, different ways for us to consider what our interests are, in addition to our work values and helping job seekers to really look at how to explore interests. It's really important to the process of career development. Um, Work can be in line with something that you love, and we really want to help people find those jobs and careers that they really love. Um, Exploring interest helps with exposure to new information. So I think some of you mentioned in the chat, using some of the work values clarification tools kind of is helpful if someone has no real idea, or maybe hasn't worked in a while and needs some support to help identify what some next steps might be. And then learning more about yourself as well as the world of work. So learning about yourself as a worker and also what's out there. Um, and then regarding fields and jobs, the person may not have known existed. There are many ways to help someone explore career interest. that aren't web-based. I mean, again, we're focusing on that slice today, but having discussions and talking with someone about past jobs, past hobbies, past education experiences. As we mentioned with the work values, talking with people who are currently working in certain fields that the person thinks that they might be interested in, watching videos about various jobs, or using those web-based or even pen and paper um, interest assessments. So some of the web-based methods for interest identification are listed here, but before we go into those, I do want to share what some of the maybe more traditional, not necessarily web-based tools are as well. So we're going to go back to that and we'll share that in just a minute. But when we talk about John Holland, um, kind of created this theory of career choice. And I don't know if people are interested or aware of or have some experience or knowledge of what that means, but it's his theory kind of identifies that there are six basic types of work environments: realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional, which are that RIASIC is sometimes the acronym that we use. And people of the same personality type working together in a job create environments that fit that type. So people who choose an environment to work in similar to their personality type are more likely to be successful and satisfied. So if someone has a realistic personality type, finding jobs that include realistic type of tasks has been shown to be more likely associated with success and satisfaction on the job. So again, according to Holland, if you're working with people who have a personality type like yours, you'll feel more comfortable with them and in that environment. So people search for environments where they can use their skills and abilities and express their values and attitudes. And how you feel and act at work depends on the workplace environment. So most people are one of these six personality types: realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. So here's kind of an analog pen and paper, low tech exercise. I don't know if anyone is familiar with this, but Richard Bowles created or has that What Color is Your Parachute book, all about career development and planning. And one of the exercises or activities in there is this party exercise. And this hexagon shows the relationship between these different types of personality traits. So the investigative are the thinkers, artistic are the creators, social are the helpers, enterprising the persuaders, conventional are the organizers, and realistic are the doers. So if you were to if you don't have access to any web-based resources, or you're working with someone and the person really appreciates more of like a, kind of low-tech option to identify what their kind of personality characteristics are and how they align with a position, different careers, you can use this party exercise. So the way it's used is, I'm going to share the next six slides. They have different explanations about what each of these six areas um, look like. So you would work with someone and say, if you were at a party and you were wanting to talk with people, or what area of the room would you be drawn to first? Would you be drawn to the thinkers, or the artistic group, or the social group, or and so on? And you encourage the person to identify the top three groups that they would be interested in, kind of, you know, that would draw them in, I guess. Um, so you would go through each of these kind of overview of what the realistic group is all about. So people who like active and manual activities, um, people who fall into this category generally prefer to learn by doing, and they might see themselves as practical and task oriented, and they like things that can be seen and touch. So, um, it might be physical therapists, maybe mechanics, athletes, architects, veterinarians, mechanical engineers might all fall into this category. So that would be realistic. And then investigative, people who are analytical, people who are intellectual and observant, and they're maybe drawn to puzzles and challenges that are somewhat ambiguous and using logic and really investigative. Some examples might be physicians, lab techs, computer techs, maybe management consultants, and so on. So people who are drawn to those types of careers. Artistic, people who are imaginative, maybe original, opportunities to express themselves, and maybe prefer more flexible and ambiguous types of positions compared to more convention and conformity. Architects, museum curators, graphic designers, those types of artistic type and creative careers. Social, the helpers. So people who like to solve problems, probably a lot of social helpers here on the call right now, focused on human relationships, counselors, teachers, social workers, trainers, speech pathologists, nurses, people in human resources. Enterprising, the persuaders, people who are energetic, invigorated by using their interpersonal and leadership skills. Um, good public speakers, maybe real estate agents, sales reps, people who enjoy activities that require them to persuade and seek out leadership roles. They value promotion and power. So conventional folks are efficient and careful. Maybe they are very conscientious and they like to have well-defined instructions and directions and like organized activities. Think accountants, bookkeepers, computer operators, and so on. So those are the types of um, those are kind of in a nutshell, these 6 areas. So you would encourage the person to think about, after going through all of those details about um, each of the personality types, kind of where would the person be drawn to? And you come up with a 3-letter code. And that code, so for example, my code, if I did this, was ERA at one point. So it was enterprising, realistic, and artistic. And if I clicked on the highlighted link here, and it provided me with some other information that provided some information about what jobs would be congruent with that code. So chefs and cooks came up. So I'm going to go back to that one slide where we can come up with that 3-letter code in a web-based way. So just bear with me. Let me go back to that slide. And you can see how you can use some tools to come up with that. So both of these are kind of connect to the same resource here, but we're going to go, it's my next move or ONET Center. So let's click into here and I'll again share my slide and we can see how to use some web-based tools to come up with those 3-letter codes. So if hopefully everyone's seeing this, give me a little thumbs up or something, or yeah. You guys see the ONET Resource Center?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so it gives an overview again about what the codes are, provides some information. So the web-based tool is through the ONET Interest Profiler, and it gives a little bit of an idea about what that is. So you can click into this and The other link on the slide gets you right to this section, but I wanted you to see the full view because there are some pen and paper examples as well. But today we're just going to look at this ONET interest profiler, and we probably will just touch on some of these. But again, it's a sorting type of activity where you're helping someone sort through different interests using this scale. What would you enjoy doing at your dream job? 30 work activity descriptions, helping the person read each one carefully and try to picture yourself doing the activity, decide how much you would like to do the activity. And this is important. Do not think about the amount of education needed or how much money you'll make. That will come later. Right now, it's more about just kind of helping the person explore those interests using the scale that's listed here. Strongly dislike, dislike, unsure, like, or strongly like. So if you were to go through the whole thing, build kitchen cabinets. That's not really something I would prefer. Develop a new medicine. I would like that. Write books or plays. I would like that. So help people with personal or emotional problems. I would strongly like that. Manage a department. So I'm just going to kind of go through this quickly so you can see the types of questions that are asked. Dislike, dislike. Uh, so you can kind of see what questions are asked. Again, I'm not looking at what I can do. I'm looking more at whether or not this is something I would like to do. And or what I'm good, you're really helping the person really expand on what is it that really gets them, and it'll come up with some ideas at the end where they can really look at some of the careers that align with that three-letter code, which they'll come up with through this. Again, I'm just kind of quickly going through. If anyone has any real interest in any of these, okay, so I just answered kind of somewhat honestly, but just quickly. And my top interests are social, enterprising, and artistic. So you can kind of get a sense of what your three-letter code is, and then how you go about identifying different careers that match your code. Um, you can go to here. You can look first to see what kind of training or career preparation is involved. So you go into the choose a work zone. I'm going to click here to look at what careers match my three-letter code, SEA. So here are some that are coming up: clergy, directors, talent directors, educational and guidance counselors, career counselors, education. Right now, pretty on target so far for me. Education, public relations, rehab counselors. Well, there you go. So it kind of again gives you an idea of different types of positions that match that code, similar to the values that look at the social and community service managers. It gives you what the if it's how good of a fit it is, what outlook. It's a bright outlook, so it kind of gives you the person an idea of what the outlook is, what the financial piece is, what the potential salary could be, and then it goes into even more information about what type of education you might need. What would you do on the job, and so on. And it strongly matches my interest based on that brief assessment I just did. There's a bright outlook. Here's the average salary. So again, you can get a full report, and you could even find jobs. I could put in the Seattle zip code. For me, I'm close to the New York metropolitan area, but I could look in Washington State and see. What's the zip code for Seattle? I should know that. Or any Washington. Let's see. Okay. So let's see what jobs come up. So again, you can like really, so I don't know if you're seeing, but you can see that you can really distill it according to zip code, how, what positions are available. And it gives someone, it goes from identifying interest to all the way to possible jobs that are available. So let's look at this case manager at the William Booth Center. And then it gives you an opportunity to even apply for this job. And it gives the job posting listing. So lot of good resources, a lot of good information from these various web-based tools. And again, I also wanted to balance it with some analog or non-web-based tools because I know that some people prefer pen and paper. So those other PDFs for values and also interest are could be certainly helpful in using that party exercise. So we're coming to an end. I think, let's see. Let me just, so again, all of those different types of um, descriptors for each of these. And we're kind of here at our summary. And I also want you to know that in the resources section here, I listed some additional resources for that self-directed search so that you can even get some more information about what types of careers fall into each of those 6 categories. So if if you were to think about someone that you're working with, someone participating in services from your agency who might be having a hard time from work, think about what barriers are preventing the person from working. And then I like to end the sessions with some kind of applied practical strategies. How would you, what strategies today would you use to help the person? Think about what we reviewed. We went over using the work the work values even discussion. In the very beginning, we talked about what work values we all have and how did we identify those values and what those values mean. And then we did the work values tool through the career InfoNet. And then someone's mentioning here, I have a client who could benefit from the interest profile. Yes, so maybe using the interest profile. And then think about how you would apply the strategies. How you would orient the person, letting the person kind of let them know, how you're going to go about using the tool and what the benefits might be and how long it might take and all of those all of that good stuff. And then think about what additional supports you might need to help the person in their job search. Maybe the person is interested in an informational interview after you do some of these preliminary work. They still aren't quite sure what they would like to do. Maybe you can help them identify someone that they can have an informational interview with. And I also, as we're summarizing this, want to make it very clear if somebody knows what they want to do, help that person find a job in that career. These tools aren't meant to create any barriers for someone in pursuing what they want to do. If someone comes to you and says, I know what I want to do, the best thing you could do is kind of help that person identify jobs that match that and use those jobs as opportunities to clarify values and identify interest. The person might get into a job and you can be having conversations with them about what do you like about it? What might want to see in another job? How might you advance in this job? So it's really important to not put up any barriers, but to really use these tools if they're helpful. I put this learning application if you wanted to kind of after today go through and do this on your own and kind of think about how you would use that ONET resource. And again, you don't have to do this. This is just meant to reinforce what we've learned today. Here's some information. And then if you could kindly complete the chat or the survey, I'm going to put a link to it in the chat. as well. And also my email, if anyone has additional questions or would like some resources that we might have just quickly covered, please email me at the email listed below. But thank you, everyone. I really appreciate the time today and all of your active engagement as usual. Just to let you know that if you'd like more information on becoming an FCS provider, please reach out to WellPoint at the number listed here below. And don't forget to check out the Foundational Community Supports newsletter for all of the FCS upcoming training events. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. And I'll pop it back here on the survey. You could use the QR code. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.